Now, coal is the major source of carbon pollution and therefore a major driver of climate change. And if you don't have a plan to phase out coal, you don't have a plan to deal with climate change. Thanks very much, Victoria. I also would like to start by acknowledging that we meet on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and that land was never ceded, it was stolen from them. And I also, like Jana, respect the enormous importance of their custodianship of caring for this land. We should all understand how much they understand about how you keep the land the way it ought to be. Now, most people in this hall know me for my efforts in defending the human rights of asylum seekers. Right now, however, I face what I regard as the greatest human rights challenge ever to face the human race. We are in a climate emergency, and the real question is whether we can survive as a species. The IPCC, in its latest report last year, gave us until 2030 to take serious steps to combat climate change, or else it will be too late. Now, I'm sorry if my tone sounds distressed, but I am distressed. The Australian government's lack of action in relation to climate change has driven me, against all my previous instincts, to put my hand up to stand for Parliament, something I said I'd never do, because I wanted to be a candidate to stand for the only party in this country which has got a genuine plan to deal with climate change, and that's the Greens. Now, you don't need to be a scientist to understand that there's already too much carbon pollution in the atmosphere. We've got a record of a series of hot summers, bushfires, floods, extinctions, extreme droughts, heat waves, and so on. Everyone knows it. And yet the current government has chosen to do nothing at all about it. Now, Barry Jones gave a perfect summary of the mechanism and of the fact that we've known about this for a long time, from Joseph Fourier's groundbreaking work in the 1820s to Eunice Foote and John Tyndall in the 1850s and Svante Arrhenius in the 1890s. We have known about this for more than 1.5 centuries, and we've done nothing. So you'll excuse me if I'm upset, but I imagine I'm not the only person in this hall who is upset about what is going on, and more particularly what is not going on. Unfortunately, it's not only the Liberal Party who have failed to do anything. The Labor Party has also failed to do anything, and it may have something to do with the fact that both major parties receive very large donations from the fossil fuel industry. Since 2012, they have, between them, received over $8 million. Hey, that really would be something to write home about, wouldn't it? They've received over $8 million in donations from the fossil fuel industry. That's one reason, perhaps, why they don't listen all that attentively to simple people like us who are just worried about whether our children and grandchildren will have a world in which human beings can survive. Now, big donations lead to big influence. The fact is that instead of managing a transition away from mining, exporting and burning coal, they're backing it. Now, coal is the major source of carbon pollution and therefore a major driver of climate change. And if you don't have a plan to phase out coal, you don't have a plan to deal with climate change. The Greens have got a comprehensive and independently costed plan called Renew Australia. Have a look at that. And it's pretty good. The plan is to get Australia to 100% renewables by 2030 and that means that we will be able to move quickly to zero emissions once you take into account 100% sale of electric vehicles, new electric vehicles by 2030, so that no new petrol-driven or internal combustion engine vehicles would be sold after 2030. All of that means that the two major sources of climate change will be defeated quickly, and quickly enough, we would hope, that the situation will not become beyond control, as the IPCC have warned. And one of the parts of this plan, which is independently costed, is that it will create 180,000 new jobs and will also introduce a carbon price so that the people who are polluting the planet will have to pay the price, and their carbon price will fund a substantial part of the plan. In addition, the Greens have got a plan to protect nature's natural carbon sink, that Barry pointed out, which is by ending the logging of native forests and land clearing. Victoria's native forests are amongst the most carbon-rich, carbon-dense in the world, but they are being logged at the rate of 5 mcgs per day. That's the rate at which... Now, that's an ecological catastrophe. And it's supported by the Liberals at federal level and by Labor at state level. Yeah, I'll be just a moment. She's like a special leave application in the High Court. The Liberals will tell you that the Greens plan is impossible. It's not impossible, it is ambitious. But we need ambition right now. We need an ambition that this planet can remain a place where human beings can survive. Now, I only met Josh Frydenberg for the first time tonight. Everything I've heard of him is he's a good bloke. And the difficulty is he's standing for a party that has done absolutely nothing when it should have done a great deal to save the human species. His party voted to slash the renewable energy target, to scrap the carbon price, and as Environment Minister, he supervised the increase in emissions between 2013 and 2019. 2 days ago, his party okayed Adani's plans for a new mine in Queensland. What more do you need to know? So, okay, thanks, Karen. For the first time in history, this seat of Kooyong is at the centre of a plan to help save the planet. Make sure and come with the Greens.